Welcome back to the Audible Angle. We decided after a slow week last week, we brought a guest back. You guys see Druzy. No special graphics, no big reveal. It's just Druzy with the headset on. He needed a thing, so he's headset guy. We got Herbs in the glasses, Dilly in the hat. Making a big push this week, trying to get to 50 subscribers by the 50th episode. We're told, sources have indicated that's where the big money starts, and we are blowing towards it. That's YouTube subscribers only. Of course, we are available on Spotify and whatever Apple thing is called, as well as X. Join us on X. One note on followers on X, quick little housekeeping here as we start. Big news. We got a first real follower, Haley. Her name, it goes at H. Cranley and some numbers. A little suspicious. Appears to be an attractive 25-year-old, and I'm pretty sure that's a real follower. I did note on my personal X account, exact same pictures, different name, is gal is following me. So I think she's stalking us. So keep an eye out for that, Druzy. Herbs, calling a quick audible already. Can. I plan on going after Irby first, but man, you look at Druzy and you see an easy target. I had a series of questions for you, Druzy. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Are you on X ever? Do you ever scroll through X?
No.
No account.
No account.
Well, okay. Well, thanks for the follow, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Are you on Spotify?
No, sir.
All right, thanks for the follow. Do you use Apple Podcasts, iTunes, the
Yes.
purple? You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Do you follow the Audible Angle?
I follow the Audible Angle everywhere, except for the first two you mentioned.
What about YouTube? Are you a follower on YouTube?
YouTube for sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought I might
The most
get you
important, YouTube.
I thought I might get you there because every once in a while it kind of seems like you're not really up to speed on what's happening on the show. And I just wanted to make sure you're contributing and you're spreading it around. I know you're marketing.
Of course.
We got a comment this week, and I'm pretty sure you saw it from noted fan, part-time, once in a while guest on Packers Corner, Derek Brumley, very disgusted with you. I didn't know this. He must be a Purdue fan because he was seemed hot and bothered in the comments about, I believe you suggested Braden Smith had been there for 9 years. Did you dig in at all? What year was he at Purdue?
This crumb ride joker needs to catch the drift on Audible Angle, and there's a lot of tongue in cheek, if you will. Obviously, nobody can stay in Division I or Division II, Division III, or NAIA for more than 4 years, which is actually an incorrect statement. If you're fact checking, you can go to NAIA now, junior college, play 2 years of junior college, and still have 4 years of eligibility in Division I, Division II, or Division III. So that's actually the wise way to go nowadays. But to be honest, Dilly, I know that Braden Smith is going to be a senior this year. He's been playing for 4 years. Just reminded me of Druzy. I did some research after I saw that comment today. Do you know we used to use the term Kirk Robish?
Oh, Butler? Yeah. Our favorite.
Yeah.
The first original 7-year senior before COVID. He was the first guy that you could recognize playing 7 consecutive years. Oh, yeah, mid-90s.
Yeah.
Butler Bulldogs.
Well, we've got to be careful with that because his first name is definitely not Kirk. I don't know how it changed during that. It is Scott Robish.
Is it really?
It really is. There is no Kirk Robish that has ever played for Butler.
I can't wait for him. Please subscribe, Scott. We miss you. You're probably still resting your knee for the 8th year of eligibility.
Which Scott actually played a little bit. He had a cup of coffee in the league, Druzy. I did some research
know that
on
either.
him. Yeah, wow. He did a little stint in the NBA. He played for Oklahoma State before he played for Butler, which probably is why we felt like he played for 7 years. A lot of games of cribbage over that.
Following the Tommy Boy path. If you go to college for 7 years, you should be prepped for the pros.
Let me jump in here quick. We're trying to hang on to listeners here as they set off on the show. We don't need to hear about Johnny Babbage or whatever the hell you're talking about. We do need to set off the show with some analysis, and this goes against the pre-production text that Irby sent out. We're going to start with the Golden Gophers basketball squad. Jersey, in 1 minute or less, take us through the big weekend matchup against Penn State.
Yeah, kind of a typical theme lately for the Gophers. This one probably more disappointing than some of the other ones. They had some close calls against some really good teams. I mean, Big Ten is tough this year. The Gophers have had some close calls, a couple close ones against your Scotty Badgers, one close one against Illinois. I think Ohio State, USC, and then last week was a little bit disappointing because Penn State was winless in the league.
Let me interrupt for a second. Let me interrupt. Sorry, Jersey. Sorry. Audible.
I think I was only at 30 seconds, I think.
Can. We appreciate the effort. It's over for Golden Gopher basketball. This was the test. Can you beat the 0-10 Penn State in conference Penn State Nittany Lions? No, you can't. It's over for this year. We're so excited about the guys playing hard. We'll ramp it back up. They'll probably knock off a ranked team here again and get us all worked up. They'll hold on to a 27-point lead with 4 minutes to go. They'll finally hang on to one. But it's basically over until the Big Ten tournament. So that was a little bit of a test. Just wrap it up. Move on. It's over. Because we're on the Gopher Wrestling, Jersey. What are you watching?
Huge. I saw decent chunks of the match. First win against the Iowa Grapplers in, what was it, 10, 12 years? Something like that?
Right in the middle, 11.
11, yep.
I'll tell you what, we took control with the early weights with some ranked matchups, some underdog Gopher wins. Lost a little steam, as we started off with the heavier weights. They were missing a guy up there in the match that really iced it for the Gophers. But we're coming, baby, and it might turn into a wrestling program. Irby's better start knuckling up on the Big Ten Network and Big Ten Plus. We got some big matches, of course, eventually. Penn State will have to face off with the rest of who the hell else is up there? Penn State,
Nobody.
Ohio State.
Yeah. Oh, it's Penn State and then everybody else. I mean, Penn State hasn't lost in probably, I forget what the consecutive match win streak is, but it's impressive.
All right. It's kind of like talking Signetti. We can only hold Irby off for so long before he blows up. Irby, we talked extensively about Badger basketball. We got some positive feedback about talking Badger basketball. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to talk Badger basketball. We laid it out for the listeners, get that win. And, and we set it up a couple weeks ago with the win 5 out of 6 of this stretch. And they'll be in a pretty good position. They, unlike the Gophers, they kind of keep proving it. They're winning games they should. They beat Michigan. What did you see in the big matchup over the weekend?
I'll tell you what, Tilly. Like you said, you kind of alluded to that. We won the Badgers went and won 5 out of 6. We were hoping for it. I think they probably lost the game we didn't think they were going to lose. There's probably some others, and arguably they probably could have won that game against USC. Should have won that game against USC. This weekend is a big match. I will be honest. I was impressed with the Illini. I was impressed with Indiana. In some of their games, they've surprised folks. So those two matchups, the next matchups, I believe, and I'll be the first to tell you guys, I believe that the Badgers are ripe for an upset on the road. I know that playing in Bloomington isn't just difficult on the football field this year. It is also difficult in playing round ball. So Indiana's going to be tough to beat. They've got some decent wins. But if you look at their next few games, and I'll kind of chronicle this if I can get back to it yet today a little bit more tonight, I think that the Badgers need to steal this one or the next against Illinois. I think that the Indiana game is obviously going to be a bit easier than Illinois. Illinois showed a lot, but Indiana's gettable, but they are sneaky good over there. They're going to play you heads up. Again, guys, I'll be honest. This is going to be more about how the Badgers shoot the basketball. than it is about how Indiana plays, in my opinion. If the Badgers shoot well, they're going to be all right in this game.
Jersey, did you catch any Big Ten basketball this weekend?
Yeah, I caught some of it. Some good points there by Herbs. Indiana, I thought that was actually a pretty good win out there at UCLA. Tough road trip out there. I actually would have figured UCLA winning that game, but Indiana toughed out a nice win on the road, which it seems like all road wins in the Big Ten are tough. So Indiana's playing well, and so is Wisconsin. So it's actually kind of one of those key kind of swing games with teams in the middle of the Big Ten standings, where you can really improve your standings here in another month as we get towards Selection Sunday.
Guys, I want to ask Dilly. Can I ask you a question in Jersey as well? You alluded to it, Drew. The Indiana, the Hoosiers are out on their West Coast swing here. I think they just played UCLA, and then they play USC, and then they're going to be coming back. I think the day or 2 days, maybe 2 days. I think it's going to be pretty tight for them to get back for that Saturday game against Indiana or against Wisconsin. Does that play a factor? I mean, I know that it plays a factor in those West Coast teams coming here, and it's got to play a factor for Indiana, and it's got to be advantage Wisconsin, or at least let's call it a draw. They're playing at home, but they're coming off. They're jumping 2 time zones at least here. That's going to be got to play a factor. Does it play as much factor as I'm playing into it? Maybe being a Badger fan, if you're a Gopher fan, Drew.
I think it has to play a factor. It's still actually a little. It's been a couple of years now, and it's still kind of a foreign concept that we have Big Ten after dark with UCLA and USC out there. And actually, just looking at Indiana's schedule, they actually had talk about a weird schedule. Herbs at Michigan, at Rutgers, so further east, back home for one game, and then a West Coast road trip. It'll be interesting to see how they respond, and I think that this is a game. I'd like Wisconsin in this one, and I think the travel does have something to do with it, if I'm going to be honest.
I think a couple of years back, 4 or 5 years ago, and then prior to that, you might think about it a little bit more seriously. With all the money, it is peculiar. I was thinking for a second they went to Oregon, but it's at home at Oregon after Wisconsin. But the different playing times probably matter, and then the cumulative effect, like Druzy said, going east and then going west. The thing that makes me hesitate a little bit is these guys are NIL guys. They're making money. These aren't your old school. This ain't your father's student athlete out there mixing it up and taking finals on bus to the airport or anything like that. I have a sneaking suspicion that a heck of a lot of these guys are not that. It's much more like a professional team. I mean, sure, they maybe have to pass classes. I mean, not to get sidetracked here. I mean, most. Well, I'm sidetracking myself. Well, I'm gonna hedge this a little bit. You hear a lot of stories out in the world that even high school kids don't really have to read or do math to graduate. And I imagine when you're paying a kid thousands and hundreds of thousands and maybe more dollars to come play basketball at your institution, I'd guess that perhaps the scholastic bell curve for everyone except for guys that are pretty smart and pretty into it, it doesn't matter for them because they're starting their education and taking care of business. And all the guys you'd worry about doesn't matter for them anyway. So I take the edge off a little bit on the travel schedule. But, it is interesting looking at the schedule. I was going to start to look for a score. Obviously, it's getting into the evening here on Tuesday the 3rd, and you'd think, well, yeah, we're going to get the score should be in for Indiana USC. But, I mean, I'm going to be in bed by halftime of that game.
Dilly, I don't know. I agree when you talk your statement on the classroom stuff, but you got to believe there's got to be some physiological issues with these guys traveling. I get it that they're probably more used to it now because I think this is year 3. Fact check me there that these West Coast teams have been in the Big Ten in the basketball.
I'm sure Derek Crumley will fact check you on when the conference went to 35 teams or whatever it's at now.
Pump it up. That's good. That's good. We got to keep this honest, but I'm still going to fucking bullshit it the whole time through. And there goes us not swearing on an episode. That works. Anyway, I
Yeah,
do think it's going to be an issue. I have to believe that. And maybe I'm looking for something. The other factor that we got to talk about here, guys, is that it's an 11 a.m. Game. It's essentially a hop, skip, and a jump for Wisconsin to get over to Indiana, over to Bloomington. I think that's probably a 3-hour drive, not much more than that. To get over there, they're going to be there Friday night. You would assume Friday afternoon, stay over. They'll be fresh, ready to rock and roll. I like the Badgers in this one. I guess maybe we're picking it.
Con-
It's 2 out of 3 picking it.
Conversely, it feels like we're talking about the Indiana Hoosiers football team winning by too many points. Is Wisconsin going to end up with too much rest? 2 home games and then almost a week off before you, like you said, you do a real short travel to Indiana, and oh my gosh, then they got to go to Illinois. Is it too much practice? This is now an honest question though. In the heart of a NCAA basketball season, what do you expect as a fan? You have a week off. You probably have 3, 4 practices in there. I imagine they give them a day or 2 extra rest, kind of like a bye week. Is there things that the Badgers can get even stronger at with a little extra time?
I don't know. To be honest, yeah, I think they can get healthy. Rhodey missed the last game. I think there's an argument that our Aussie could use another day or 2 off, a little bit longer, so that week off helps. Everybody just gets healthier, and playing we all played a high school season, we all played a college season. At this time in our soccer career, 2/3 of the way through a season, everything hurts, and it's just one of those deals where if you can have a bye week like this in the middle of the season, or going into the latter third of your season, essentially, it's advantage any team that gets that. And it wasn't by their choice. This is a Big Ten schedule. This was done by the commissioner of the Big Ten. Lucky break for them, right? And they've got to take an advantage of it. We talk about in the NFL all the time, Dilly, but you don't have to win. It doesn't matter by how much you win or what instance it is. And if you can get some breaks, I think this is one of them. And this is looking positive for the Badgers. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season, when things kind of went sideways for the Badgers a little bit in some of those non-conference games, the way the Big Ten started, getting smoked by 30 to a real good Nebraska team. We've got to talk about them later too. But boy, would we have expected them to be right there, kind of in the mix, even with Purdue kind of at that second tier in the Big Ten right now? There's an elite tier of 3, 4 teams, and then there's the Badgers, kind of sneaky there at 8-3. It's looking pretty solid. I think 7 days, and it's full. The last game was against Ohio State, that nail biter on Saturday. They're going to be playing Saturday again. I like the chances. Is there rust? Dilly? Certainly can be, but they're going against their own guys. They're playing fives, I'm sure. They're getting healthy, and that's the most important thing this time of year, in my opinion.
Are we wrapped on Wisconsin and are ready to go to the natural transition, of course, for Badger fans out there, of which there are many, though I am not one. Moving on to Illinois. We're not looking past the Hoosiers. Badger fan not looking past the Hoosiers, but Illinois is the next team on our list of teams to discuss. It happens to be next Tuesday. 1 week from today is the Wisconsin Illini matchup in Illinois. What are we thinking on Illinois? They're still 10-1 in conference. They're cruising along. How are you feeling about Illinois?
Love Illinois. That kid, Keaton Wagler, is legit. I forget what he threw up, 45 points against, who was it? It was legit. Was it Nebraska?
The Nebraska game?
Yeah. He looks great. Probably one and done, probably a top 5 or 10 pick in the NBA. But then, I don't know, Illinois they have so much size, and they also have what would have been a gold medal Yugoslavian basketball winning gold medal team with some of these guys, the size. Peja Stojakovic's kid, Andrej, good shooter from the outside, and then they got the Ivisic brothers on the inside, just a lot of size, and then with Wagler's shooting ability, they have a lot of impressive wins. I don't know, I think they're definitely going to be a tough out come mid-March conference tournament, and then obviously late March once we get going at the NCAAs. Good team, Illinois. I like them.
Now, a real quick jump in here for some of our listeners might not understand. Yugoslavia was a country in Eastern Europe.
Aging myself.
A large country that is now broken up into many smaller countries after some, civil wars and ethnic cleansing, things like that, good old newsy stuff. You mentioned kind of the tiered nature of the Big Ten, strong up top, and then you got Purdue and Wisconsin kind of. Purdue, yeah, I may be going in different directions here, but let's talk Nebraska. I'm sorry, I was going to go back to Wisconsin, actually, if we can believe it. Do you feel Wisconsin is looking like they might make a jump if they get past Indiana, and if they, let's say, they beat Illinois? Does that put them in the upper tier, or does that just show they can mess around and get a triple double against the upper tier?
Love that terminology. The mess around, get a triple double. That's old school too. But I'm glad you brought him up, Dilly. Couple points I want to make on that. So they've got 9 games remaining. The Badgers, 3 of those are at home, 6 of them are away. I think Indiana is the game that they need to steal. I think that is one of those that gets them into that upper echelon. I think to answer your question, number 1, the Badgers will finish in the top 5 or 6. That's where they need to be. They'll be in the NCAA tournament by that finish. That's what they want to do. Out of these 9 games, as I did the math here, Dilly, I do think they steal Indiana or Illinois. That Illinois game is stealable. I think Illinois is probably going to be looking past them. I will argue to Drew's point that he likes Illinois. They're hard to like. In my opinion, they're hard to like.
Oh, yeah.
You're right, Drew. They are the biggest team in the country. They are long. That's for sure. But Dilly, I think if we steal one there, then we have 2 wins at home. I think that Michigan State game in there is also stealable for the Badgers at the Kohl Center. I think you win some of those games at the Kohl Center, which includes an Iowa game, and Iowa's going to be in the top 25 by the time the Badgers play them, but they're playing them at home. I don't think there's anything special about Iowa. So I think we get 2 wins there with Michigan State. Then they go on the road. Their West Coast swing is Oregon and Washington. They already had the 2 tough teams, UCLA and USC, where they split on those guys, but then they go out. I think they win both of those games, to be honest. I think they beat Oregon. I think they beat Washington. And then we've got to finish the year off, and we then go against Maryland at home. That's a win. And then we have Purdue. So to answer your question, Dilly, I think they finish in the top third. I think of those 9 games, if we can get to 14-6, maybe 15-5, if we only lose 1 or 2 of those games out of that, maybe we lose 3. But even with losing 3 and we win 6 out of the 9, I think that's pretty doable. It's a tough record. We're going to get some quad wins if we do that on there, but there are some gimmies. I think Washington is pretty weak. I think Maryland's pretty weak. I don't think Oregon is the team that they used to be. So I like the Badgers finishing in the top 5, 6 in the Big Ten. They'll earn probably a 7-8 seed in the NCAA if I'm projecting correctly here. But at the end of the day, Dilly, they're not one of the best teams. I think that's going to be clearly Michigan. I think that's clearly going to be Michigan State. Purdue and Wisconsin are pretty equal. I'd like to see that matchup on the last day of the year. Let's see how that shakes out. So that might be a steal win too for the Badgers. But I think they're good enough to be in the top third, maybe in the top quarter, that top 25%, and that gets you a good seed in the NCAA tournament this year in the Big Ten.
We're going to slide right past Illinois, kind of tangentially here, and bring up Nebraska, who just played Illinois. And Jersey, I think there was an episode without you, but we did kind of talk about whether or not Purdue, bubble was getting burst a little bit, not as good as we thought they were. We tossed out the idea of Nebraska losing a little luster. They're a good team, but they went down. They put up a good fight against Michigan. Illinois took care of them fairly handily, not real close right at the end. Are they on the slide? They got a good round game against Rutgers, and then they host Purdue. Is Nebraska upper echelon, or are they going to end up looking like they're packed right in there with Wisconsin and Purdue?
It's a tough call, Dilly. I think Nebraska's legit. I feel like they're probably like a 3-ish seed, something like that in the NCAA tournament, and they're probably capable of Sweet 16 for sure, maybe grade 8. I don't know if they quite have enough to win it. But it'll be interesting to me. I mean, they're really good, right? I mean, they've got some quality wins. They won at Illinois, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Michigan State. So I don't and like you said, Dilly, close call against Michigan. And just looking at their schedule, like they could easily out of those 9 games. I mean, there's 7 gettable games for Nebraska in there, so they're gonna win close to 30 games, which again is gonna improve their seeding. Easy team to cheer for, Freddie Hoiberg. There's been some dark days in Nebraska. He's got something cooking down there. I think they're good, but they're probably a step below Michigan and Illinois is my thought. But at the end of the day, I feel like the record's going to be right there for whatever that's worth. So um, I feel like they're a step below, but wouldn't be shocked if they were like, let's say a game back at the end of the year in the Big Ten.
It's hard not to like Freddie Hoiberg. And this is maybe just a little remnant in my mind, and it's probably Jersey that could confirm this. Didn't he have to shut her down a time or two due to like a heart condition or something? Was that just stress and he learned how to manage it, or do we have to wish
Yeah.
him well here on his last ride?
I think he's doing well, but yeah, you're right. He did have some issues for a while. Hopefully, that's behind him, and he's just done a great job. I mean, Nebraska can't be the easiest place to build a program for sure.
Herb's sticking in some old conferences and states that are next to each other. Well, I'm trying to move us over to Kansas here. We actually talked about Kansas last week a little bit, and in our Big 10 versus Big 12 conversation, Kansas got a win, and I'm not even double checking that. I'm pretty positive they did get a win this weekend, right? They got a nice win.
Yeah, yesterday too, Texas Tech, Dilly. Nice win, I think last night or early this week,
Yep.
Texas Tech.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Are we feeling a little stronger about Kansas after as another week goes by here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, buddy, I am firmly on the Kansas trail. I am on that train. That is a team rising to probably where they should have been earlier in the season. Not sure why it's taken them this long. They have the best player in the country on the team by far. I mean, he's going to be the best player now. I guess I'd be going too far by far. I think there's 2 other really good players for Player of the Year, but he's probably leading. He's one of those guys that can get his shots anytime he wants. That's a good player. Kansas is good, and you're right, Dilly, Druzy, you kind of nailed it. They did just beat BYU, then they beat Texas Tech. They also have a quality win with Iowa State. They beat Iowa State when they were number 2 in the country. There's a schedule there for them that can really turn out real good for Kansas, if you ask me. Kansas is going to be on the rise. I wouldn't be surprised to see them at the top 5 by the end of the year. Do want to kind of circle back real quick to Nebraska. I do like Nebraska. I'm a big fan of Nebraska, but I will tell you the last 2 games have made some questions there. And I talked about it, Dilly, that I thought Nebraska would be the better team of Illinois if because Mast was coming back. I think he may have had a little bit of illness hangover. He scored 4, maybe 5, 6 points in that game. And that if he scores his normal 20, he's kind of the way they tick. And he didn't, and that's why Illinois. But to your point, Druzy, that you had mentioned, I think the top 3 teams of the Big Ten this year are going to be Illinois, Michigan, and Michigan State. I think Nebraska is right after that. We'll see how they do with a pretty friendly schedule down the stretch. So I don't know. They probably will drop 1 or 2 that we didn't expect them to, just because the Big Ten schedule is taxing. And I think that injuries will hurt. It's obviously shown when they're 1 short, they can't win those big games. I think they're not right. They're not right this year. I just don't think that they'll make a run in the NCAA. Wouldn't shock me if they do. If Mass gets back and starts playing better, it wouldn't shock me. They play good defense, and that'll get you a long ways. Fred Hoiberg plays that tough defense, plays a good hard-nosed game, and they make threes. So it doesn't surprise me, but they're in that second tier, and I think they might be a second tier by themselves in the Big Ten, to be honest, because they're better than Wisconsin, they're better than Purdue, but I don't think they're as good as those top 3: Illinois, Michigan, and Michigan State.
Jersey, jumping back to Kansas here, Irby was impressed the last couple games. Is Kansas ready to make a stand? They have Utah coming up, and take a day off, and then they host Arizona. Is that shaping up like a statement game for them, or show they can hang tough game? Are you as upbeat as Irby on the rise of Kansas?
I am not as high on
Whoa!
Kansas.
Whoa!
I don't know if I'm eligible as a guest to call an audible, but I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Kansas, like it seems like they always have high expectations, and they're knocked out in the second round of the NCAA tournament as a 2 seed by like a 10 or a 1, you know, an 8 or a 9 every single year. And I just think like they're good, and if they get hot here, Dilly, maybe I'm allowed to change my mind if they play well and maybe beat Arizona. But the problem I have, like Kansas has some good players. Trey White and Baduga are really good, but they're just so. To Ruby's point, Darren Peterson's unbelievable, but they're just so reliant on him. He's had health problems already. He's missed a bunch of games. I feel like what if he has an off game or he's beat up and he's not 100%? I just can't buy into Kansas. He's just such a huge part of what they do. And it just seems like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It feels like Kansas falls short every single year. I mean, I'm not rooting against Kansas at all, but their schedule looks I mean, I think they play Arizona twice yet here at the end of the year too. So they'll be a good measuring stick to really tell us where they are.
Yeah, they got Arizona twice. They got Houston. They got Iowa State. So they have a lot of work left. I'm going
Didn't
to
even
write
see
this
Houston.
one down though. So Jersey, if Kansas beats number 1 Arizona, then they might be good. All right, that's what the audible angle brings you in for, the hard hitting takes. If they go on a run and beat Arizona twice and Iowa State and Houston, then maybe Roy Williams will finally get over the hump and overachieve in the NCAA tournament. He'll still a coach there, right?
I expect
Riley
Danny
Williams
Manning to be on the sidelines like all the Miami Hurricanes during football, bringing Brandon Rush back. I'll totally buy in.
Kansas is legit. Just mark it down. They're legit. They got the best player. It wouldn't be shocking that the best player brings your team into the Final Four. They've got it. Now, don't lessen the supporting cast over at Kansas. Like, there's a lot of good players. They got some big dudes there that can play. That's a good
Big
basketball
dudes.
team. But I wouldn't be shocked. Here's the deal, man. Anything in the Big 12 is kind of a toss-up, Dilly. They beat the crap out of each other. Same thing with the Big 10. I don't know if the Big 12, unlike the Big 10, to be honest, I think the Big 10 is making some clear leaders. I don't know if the Big 12 is doing the same. I don't know if they have. They're all kind of middling right now. Last conversation we had, Dilly, is these are the 2 best conferences in the country. It still is. They're all jammed up in there. But the Big 12 kind of seems to be kind of shrinking, if you will, a little bit together, and not the cream isn't rising to the top. Maybe that's because they're deeper. I don't know.
Jersey, we know Irby likes Kansas. We know Irby likes big dudes. Does Arizona have enough big dudes to try to hang in this deal? Or
Yeah,
hang in is a little light. Okay.
Yeah,
Take control.
Hang in. I mean, they are 22-0. They do lack. I mean, honestly, I was looking at the roster earlier. They do lack a little bit of size. I mean, Burries and Cole Pete, the freshmen, are fantastic, but I think Pete's like 6'8". I think Burries is like 6'5". And the key to their team is, my gosh, their point guard. It's Jaden. It's Clark. Jaden Bradley, 6'3". So they do lack a little bit of size. Interesting to see how that plays out, Dilly, with the physical nature of the Big 12. And once you start playing 30 games, interesting to see how Arizona. Now, they've handled it so far. They beat teams like Connecticut and Iowa State, some teams that have some size. But to your point, Dilly, you never know once you get late in the season if you don't have enough, big guys. Could that be your downfall? We'll see.
Now, we spent some time, Irby. Well, Irby, you take us through Arizona. I'm kind of skipping over you once in a while. I apologize up front. Tell us your thoughts. Does Arizona not have enough big dudes, as Jersey outlined for us? Are they lacking big dudes?
I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. I think Arizona lacks the out beyond the arc capabilities, and they're too dependent on the 2. They don't shoot the 3 well enough, and that's going to hurt them. Yes, they are undefeated up to now. That is one of the toughest remaining schedules in the Big 12 that they have. They've got to go through, as we well chronicled, Kansas twice. They have to play Texas Tech. They also have to play BYU. And I have arguably the best team in the country right now is Houston. They also have to play them, and not to mention finish the year off with Iowa State. That is a tough schedule. If they can get through that, obviously they're legit because they're going to be the last undefeated and the only undefeated team in the country. So, yeah, of course we're going to say they're worth it, but I'll tell you right now, they're going to drop one or two of those games. They're too good in the Big 12. I think Arizona isn't good enough. I can't name more than, without looking at their roster, I couldn't name you two players on the team. Is that because they play where Arizona plays and they play in the different time zones? Certainly. But they're the most underwhelming, undefeated, number one ranked team in the country right now. You can't argue. When's the last 5 or 7 years that you didn't have any superstars? Does that maybe make them good, Dealey? I don't know. But it makes them boring to me. It's a boring type of basketball out there. Arizona Wildcat fan is going to argue, well, we're winning 22-0. Well, congratulations. I don't think you're going to finish with that goose egg in the right column. I think it's going to be 1 or 2, and then we'll see you fall. And then I think and we can get to it later, I think the best team in the country will rise up to that, and I can tell you who that is if we get to it later.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we could have summed that up with not enough big dudes on Arizona, which I tried to tee up for you. There's not enough big dudes. Speaking of only fans, we did dedicate a big part of the show to the Big 10 and Big 12 matchup. As the SEC flounders in football and has been proven to be completely irrelevant going forward in football, we got to give the fans of the SEC something. We are a worldwide broadcast, by the way, and we do record it live. We're live at our homes by ourselves. Is there anyone in the SEC that we even need to bring up? I mean, we got Texas A&M at the top of the conference. Is that even a real team? Is it
No.
Florida? I think Vanderbilt is the highest rated team. I mean, is it not? Who's ranked ahead of them in the actual rankings?
No, they are. We're just saying they're not legit.
Okay.
We're answering
Okay.
your question.
I think
Vanderbilt
Irby
is
and I
not
are
legit.
agreeing for the first time in history here.
Correct.
It's Florida, and then everyone else, forget it.
Correct.
We got Nolan Richardson going 48 minutes of death for the Razorbacks still. We got Rick Pitino and the Kentucky Wildcats. What's the real deal? Who's the real deal team in the SEC? And does it matter?
I think it's Florida, and the rest of them are okay. I feel like there's a lot of 5 and 6 seeds in there. I do love Darius Acuff from Arkansas. He is a baller. I know we talked about Darren Peterson earlier. Acuff's right in that top 4-ish player in the country, in my opinion. But Vandy's tough. I don't want to take anything away from Vandy, but it feels like Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Auburn are all just kind of like meh. And there's just I didn't even realize till you mentioned it. I can't believe Texas A&M is at the top of that conference. So I feel like a lot of mediocrity. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but to me, Florida, the defending champs, until you knock them off, they got a lot of guys back from last year. They're the only one worth noting to me going forward.
Don't skip me.
And no, I'm not skipping you, Herbs. I'm coming right to you. Is 7'9", 305 pounds, a big enough dude to make Florida interesting?
Oliver Rue is the real deal, right? That dude is one big man. There's some article that I read about how many calories he has to take in. Who cares? He's big.
Yeah.
He's big. But I'll tell you what, Dilly, let's get down to it. Here's the down low on the SEC. Texas A&M, nope. Vanderbilt, nope. I'll tell you right now, it's Florida and it's Arkansas. Arkansas's all right. Florida's up and coming. And don't forget about Alabama. I will tell you right now, it is February 3rd. Alabama, where it's going to upset a lot of people in that NCAA tournament. The way they're playing right now, I think they're holding on to 23 in the country right now, Drew. Fact check me real quick while we go. I think they're 23rd in the country. They've got a great athletic, been there, done that team. I think they're all back. They just added a really good freshman point guard. That Alabama team is really good. They've got Amari Allen, a freshman that's kind of a sleeper freshman out there out of Green Bay. I like him a lot. This is the second time I brought him up. I like Alabama. They're not playing well enough to win that conference. Texas A&M is a joke. Vanderbilt is a joke. Florida and Arkansas are legit. Alabama's legit. They have to get their shit right. They have to get that right. But those are the three teams that you need to talk about in the SEC. They're not great, but they're not terrible. Kentucky is down this year. They're not going to really make anybody surprise anybody. They're down. I don't think that'll last long, but those three teams I mentioned are it. Texas A&M and Vanderbilt are not. Bottom.
Alabama, I believe, currently unranked. Druzy, take us through some teams in the SEC and keep it simple. Total joke or not an effing joke?
Mine's going to be similar to Herb's, but it's going to be a lot simple. Florida, for real. Everybody else is a pretender. Not enough big dudes. Florida has big dudes.
I believe that segment sponsored by the mothership in Austin, Texas. Thanks, Joe Rogan. That was supposed to be joke or no joke. Also sponsored by Kill Tony. You had 1 minute and you don't even get a small joke book, Jersey. Just kicked right off the stage. No follow-up questions. Thanks for participating. We're going to have to bring it back to you. Who is the best team in college basketball, and have we talked about them yet?
No, we haven't. I touched base on them. I do believe right now the best team in college basketball and the team that will end as the best team in basketball is going to be the Houston. Those Cougars down in Houston. I think they also have one of the leading candidates for Coach of the Year. Kelvin Sampson is my guy. He's been doing it for about 45 years. It feels like probably more than that. But I will tell you right now, Houston was there. They went toe to toe with Florida last year. Florida was clearly the best team in the country. They were best team in the country because they had the best clutch shooter in the country. But they did nothing but add people to a very stacked roster. They didn't lose anybody from that final game, that national championship game. I don't believe anybody of consequence. Drew, Dilly, we're talking Houston is going to run through, and I think they're going to be. They may not finish first in their conference, but they are the best team in the country.
Trudy, give us a minute or two on why Irby is wrong.
I will agree with Irby. I do like Houston a lot. They just seem to play the right way. Come March and April, Kelvin Sampson seems to get it done. Kingston Fleming's very good player, probably top 5. But I'm gonna go a different direction. I don't know. I feel like UConn's just kind of sneaking around. They're not maybe my favorite team, Dan Hurley, but we talked about the Big Ten. We talked about the Big 12. These teams are going to beat up on each other. Meanwhile, UConn's just kind of breezing through their schedule. They're 21-1. I think they lost to I think Florida earlier in the year, maybe a neutral court game. They've got Alex Caravan, who's seems to have been around since their national championship teams. They seem to have something going. I feel like they're just kind of under the radar in that perfect spot, hanging out in the top 5. They're going to get a 1 or a 2 seed, which is going to make their path more preferable. I like UConn.
Now, hold on a second here. You're waving your arms around. We'll just give you the floor here. Does UConn have enough big dudes?
Holy shit. No, they don't have enough big dudes. They don't have enough any dudes. Their coach is a blowhard. He has been from the beginning. Here's the deal. Druzy says that they're 22 and who gives a shit because they've played no one. They're 12-0 in their conference. They are tested by no one. They're going to get the NCAA tournament, and they're going to be like, oh, my God, it's Miami of Ohio. We're done. Miami, Ohio gets a 10 seed. No, UConn gets a 3 seed or something like that stupid, like a 12-3 game, and they lose. They're playing St. John's was supposed to be good. They're not. Villanova was supposed to be good. They're not. Seton Hall was supposed to be good. They're not. Creighton was good 3 years ago. Butler has been good back when Scott Robich played with them in the 90s. I'll be honest, DePaul, Georgetown, Xavier, and Marquette. Marquette's one of the worst teams in the country currently. Not sure why. Shaka Smart's wondering why he went to Milwaukee. And Providence is non-existent. That entire Big East Conference is horse manure. Horse manure. And they just happen to be the best team that's in the league. So congratulations, you're sitting at number 2 in the country, number 3 in the country, whatever it is. You're not battle tested. You're going nowhere in March. Sayonara, enjoy it while you can. You've got one fan. His name is Ryan Andrews, coming out of South St. Paul.
Now, a quick question. Point of clarification on the UConn Huskies. You mean to tell me that this son of a bitch coach who throws his shit all over the place. He's bitching and moaning at the refs and everybody else. That's not even Bobby Hurley. It's Daniel. Who the hell is Daniel Hurley think he is?
Thank you. Thank you.
You got to make a name for yourself when your brother's Bobby, so you got to throw chairs and shit. That's
I
what you
honestly
gotta do.
thought it was Bobby Hurley. This song. I'm thinking. I heard you say Danny Hurley. I'm like, there's no way that the other Hurley.
I got fact
gets
checked
this
that I was
much
right.
action.
Danny
Get out of
Hurley.
town.
Here's
What
the
is-
deal about Danny Hurley. He thinks the entire game is about him. He thinks he's still playing, and he wasn't when he was even playing. He wasn't good, was he? Did he even play? Probably played at like Maine, University of Vermont, or something.
Bums. We're Division I athletes here. Man is. Are they Division I now? I don't know. Who
Why you
gives a
got to throw
shit?
the Black Bears and the Catamounts under the bus, Herbs?
Good soccer team 2 years ago. Vermont won it.
That's right.
Good soccer team, but I don't know much about their basketball team. I'm sure they're horse shit.
Not a great state. Not a lot of great states over in
I
the
mean, who
Northeast.
wants to be a state that looks like the other one upside down? Who wants to be that guy? And nobody wants to be in that state. Not mine.
Oh, let's just have the same politicians as everyone else in every state around us. We'll just be the same. Just it's working. Everything's working. Keep doing it.
UConn,
work.
fake news. Fake news will be proved right.
New Hampshire owns Vermont. They're New Hampshire's bitch. Well, it's safe to say Danny Hurley is not going to be in our early Coach of the Year candidate. I'll tell you what, when we talk about our production meetings and flushing them down the toilet because they're total garbage and worthless, sons of bitches, they even have Houston on the production list and the text messages. And they're your number one team that is going to win it all, and you can't even disagree. Whatever happened to Michigan? Michigan was on the text list. Are they done? No one, I get teed up all episode. Nobody even brought up the Wolverines.
I'll tell you right now, and Drew, I certainly am interested in your philosophy here, your thought pattern. Michigan is coming back. I mean, they won that one game, but they've won some big games. They found themselves on the top. What their top three? Are they number 2 right now in the rankings?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
they're number 2.
Sorry, I was looking up the Hurley brothers. I don't have it up on the screen
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
I'll get back to it.
They're ranked number 2 behind Arizona. I'll tell you what. I think Michigan is good. The problem with them is they lost big games. The Houston losses are against. They've lost the game that they shouldn't. You don't lose to Wisconsin. You just don't do that. If you're one of the best teams in the country, BYU played Wisconsin, smoked them by 30. Wasn't close. Nebraska played them, smoked them by 30. Wasn't close. Then Michigan goes and lays an egg, and there were too many close games in between there, too. I do think Michigan is legit. I think Michigan goes on and wins the Big Ten conference. They're a good team. I just don't think they have what it takes to win in March, and that's a bunch of guys that have been there before. That's why Houston is going to be good. They know what to expect. That's difficult to play in those big stadiums when you get to the Final Four. Bottom line, that's very hard to play basketball. I like Michigan. I like them to win the Big Ten, but I don't like them to do it a whole lot past the Sweet 16 in March Madness.
Drew, before you go here, I got to jump in. Herbs, I almost lost my mind in celebration because when you started to utter Michigan lost some big, I thought you were going back to big guys. I thought they lost some big guys, but it was big games. They lost some big games. Drew, do you think Michigan has enough big guys to take the top spot?
I do, because their best big guy, Yaxel Lendeborg, transfer from UAB, I think, is just a really good player at like 6'9", 6'10", can do a little bit of everything. I like Michigan. They got, I was looking at their stats earlier today. 5 guys average a double figure, so they kind of spread it around. I think that makes them a little bit immune to individuals having bad games. And for whatever reason, I don't know. I think the last game they just won at Michigan State a couple days ago, and for people that didn't see, there was a little bit of back and forth between Michigan's head coach Dusty May and Tom Izzo, which I kind of like. Dusty May kind of poking Tommy Izzo in the side, and I kind of like that. I think Michigan's spunky. Wisconsin's win at against Michigan has to be one of the most impressive for during the entire year. I mean, it's crazy because for the most part, Michigan has taken care of business. look a little bit of a daunting schedule left, but I do think that, as we said earlier in the program, Michigan is going to absolutely be in the running for the Big Ten championship. Last game of the year against Michigan State could be fantastic based on what we just saw.
Hey, here's the deal, Mr. May. Know who you're talking to, man. That's Mr. Izzo. Watch yourself. Like you got it. Hey, man, there's called respect. That dude deserves it. He's always here, Drew. Don't sleep on Izzo. Fucking May. Jesus Christ.
Don't recommend sleeping with him either. He was an older gentleman, but sometimes you just got to let it go. Hey, going back to the production meeting, untold value. We added on here on the notepad. NCAA. I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll drop one on you for consideration. NCAA basketball coach of the year so far. Who's your top candidates here? Do you have candidates? Herbs.
Yeah, I do. I've got a couple of them, and obviously, I hinted at it earlier. Kelvin Sampson's leading; he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. He did it last year. He's doing it again this year. I think kind of a sleeper, Drew Dilly. I'm very interested to see what this says. John Shire is a good coach, man. He's a good coach and he's a good recruiter. I mean, they're doing something right over at Duke. I mean, they've basically lost the entire team from last year, and they've got another. They reloaded. They're playing well, and I'll tell you what: a sign of a good coach is getting these young guys who are all studs playing together in one direction. He's doing it. Duke is winning again. John Shire's got to be there. I do think, as much as I hate to say this, Todd Golden is probably the third best. And then what I said, I hate to say this because Dan Hurley's got there. I mean, but he's a deep 4. I mean, he's probably like 10 on the list, but I'll give him 4. The rest of them are kind of junk. I did like Nate Oates if he could have got Alabama to keep playing well. He's kind of just Nate Oates just didn't bring anybody there. Pat Kelsey over at Louisville kind of did a big turnaround, a little do-si-do, if you will, with Louisville. Got him playing well there. I just don't know if they've got enough in that league to get him there. But right now, I think Kelvin Sampson is going to be the clear winner. I think Houston goes the deepest. They're my favorite team for the best in the NCAA for a reason. Kelvin Sampson's one of the big reasons.
Jersey, who do we miss? Who do you agree with?
It's a good list. I agree with John Shire. Duke just kind of doing what they do. They're kind of under the radar too. We talked again a lot Big 10 and Big 12 today, but Shire I think deserves to be in there. Another guy that's just kind of like you kind of roll your eyes, but like Mark Few has actually done a pretty good job this year. Didn't maybe have as skillful a team with a lot of the big names that he's had in the past, but they're right back in there. I also like Kelvin Sampson. I will say, look, Tommy Lloyd, I'm not saying he should win it, but if I feel like, I don't know, this is the way I think about it, fellas, but if you look at the Big 12 or the Big 10, it's going to be the coach of one of the two teams that ends up at the top of one of those leagues is probably the way it feels and probably how at least the voting's going to go. I'm not saying that's who should win it, but I just would be shocked if it went in a different direction.
Duke is a team we skimmed over, and, it's a similar story to UConn. I mean, their 2 biggest games of the year, they had a little stretch in the middle, November into December. They beat a couple of ranked teams, including Michigan State. But, I mean, their schedule is basically Michigan State and Michigan. And, big rivalry game with North Carolina here and there. But, I mean, they're going to walk to top 3 seed, top 2 seed.
Yeah, their league is down, Dilly, but I did notice, and you mentioned on it, I did notice 2 things, 2 points. Did notice Duke plays Michigan, like, right in the middle of Michigan's Big 10 schedule, which is
bizarre.
weird.
It's totally bizarre. I thought it was a misprint. Yeah.
I was there. I do have another coach to throw in there, and I know you guys are going to immediately know where this coach comes from, but we can't get through the coach of the year without talking about Travis Steele, Miami of Ohio coach. Come on, they're undefeated. These guys, he's got them playing well. It doesn't matter how you win, just as long as you win. Travis Steele, head men's coach of the Red Hawks down at Miami of Ohio.
Dilly, if I may, I'm going to counter Mr. Steele with Josh Schertz. St. Louis Bulletins. They haven't been on the radar since our man, Rick Majerus, the late, great Rick Majerus, and his triangle offense. St. Louis is back on the map. They're 21-1. They have a little bit older team. I like them. Josh
Upset
Schertz.
special. You just saw an
You got
upset
it.
special in the NCAAs right there, baby. 2 of them.
No coaching conversation can go forth without mentioning Signetti. How good of a basketball coach would that guy be, Herbs?
I'll tell you right now, he'd take the one of the worst. He could, if he was at UW Green Bay, they'd be in the conversation, national conversation. Bottom line, they could take that. Look out, UW Green Bay. You get Signetti in there, give him a year and a half, and they are easy Horizon League champs, easy top, probably top 5 seed in the NCAAs. They'll just kind of squirt through there, 27-0, probably have like a non-conference game. They got Duke coming into the friendly confines of the Crest Center, probably. They got Alabama asking them for an away game. Very unprecedented. Same season, play them twice.
Outdoor games at Lambeau. Games at Lambeau.
That's
in the middle of the winter. Signetti will make it happen.
Absolutely done. They'll probably Signetti comes here. They'll have a roof on Lambeau. Done. 1 year, dome it up, baby. We got to get more people.
We'll have enough money to make another tuning hill. It'll be never-ending joy in the city.
They'll throw more money. That Aaron's family, they'll throw more money at it. Let her rip.
We'll be coming back later in the week with some Super Bowl talk. Don't forget to subscribe and do that shit. We're trying to get to 50 because 50 means big dollar bills for everyone except Druzy on the show today. You got to get pretty heavily compensated before we can start doing kickouts, but you are contributing and you are earning your share here. I mean, it's not a big percent, but it's a percentage, Druzy. I mean, keep working, baby.
I appreciate that. It means the world to me.
Anything? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's a good cover. I mean, we went after it all. Got a big game we got to cover this weekend, though. Stay tuned for that. A big game.
And we'll be back next week with more hoops talk. It's that time of year. And I tell you what, if the Gophers and some big-time wrestling news comes up, we'll do that. Shout out Lindsey Vaughn, going to go down the goddamn mountain with no ACL. I mean, hat tip to that. We might have to dive into the Olympics a little bit. Herbs, sorry for extending us possibly past the 1 hour mark. Are you a luge guy at all? Have you ever done the luge with doubles luge with Drury ever? Anything like that?
Unfortunately, my years of eligibility for luge stopped right after senior year when I tipped the scales at more than 200 pounds, and I'm a little bit more than that now. I cannot get on a luge with another human because they're afraid I will crush them, regardless of size. I've not luged, but I have played against and with many of Olympic and senior Olympic curlers. I was a member of the curling club down in Madison. There's a lot of good curlers that come out of Madison. Out there in McFarland, shout out to all the curlers, but looking really forward to a new curling team for the U.S. curlers at the Olympics. It's not the same old. You're going to see some different faces there for the curlers here in Winter Olympics, but I'm hoping the U.S. gets back on the podium. Last year, if you remember, Dilly, the curlers took bronze.
Druzy, was that a little Irby humblebrag, little typical Irby humblebrag claiming to be a top in the luge game? And the doubles luge, he's a top.
You gave him an extra 30 seconds and he snuck it in there. I mean, It's just a skill.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed?
Maybe if it's me and you on the luge, you'd have to go on top, but just barely.
Right. If I'm doing it, I'm doing the skeleton where you go head first, because that way if I crash, I just want it over with. I just don't even want to see it. Just let me go head first.
What's your favorite
controversial topic here in the era of equality and harmony? How is there not a mixed luge? I mean, that would be a hell of a sport. Every athlete in the world would be on board for mixed luge. You'd have the greatest sporting competition of all time with the mixed couples luge.
I think there is such an event, Dilly. It's just not an Olympic sport.
And we'll end right there.
Yeah.